Hey, what's up guys? I do hope you are all having a great day. In today's video we are finally going to be installing the valve cover gasket onto the E46. This has been on the list for a while and we're finally getting to it. So sit back and relax and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so to begin, here's what you'll need to change the valve cover gasket in your E46. First off, you need the valve cover gasket kit. This one I purchased on Amazon. It's a generally cheap one. I don't know how good the quality is, but I'm gonna put it in and see how it goes. You need your ratchets with an extension. You may not need the extension if you have the long sockets, but I have these here just in case. You need a T30, an 8mm, a 10mm, and a flathead and the assorted ratchets for those sockets. So first things first, we have to remove the cabin air filter and its mount and all that. Move that out of the way and remove the covers. These are 10mm, those are just by hand, and inside there's the T30 bolts. There's 4 of them, so we remove that first and I'll get back to you guys once I have that off. Alright, so now that we have all that removed, now we can see what exactly we need to remove next before we remove the valve cover. So first off, we need to remove the coil wiring, and then remove the ignition coils. So to do that, these 2 clips over here that you need to remove here. See these clips here? We need to remove those. We don't need to remove the spark plugs, so we'll do that first. Then we need to unclip this hose over here, and we might need to remove the secondary air pump as well. We'll move to the side. We don't need to because we only need access to this 10mm bolt right there and the one behind it. Alright, so we've just unhooked the ignition coils from the clips. Now we need to remove this. There's these 2 tabs that you had to push down on to release right here. There's 2 tabs you need to push down on with a flathead screwdriver right down there, and one on the other side over here. You pry on those, this whole thing pops off. Now you need to remember there's what the heck just fell down. Be careful when you do unclip this because there is a ground wire here you need to remove. I believe it is a 8mm, or yeah, this ground wire is an 8mm. Make sure to remove that, then you can move this off to the side, and we'll do that and I'll get back to you guys real quick. Alright, so we've removed that ground wire, we've disconnected it, so we can just move this entire wiring loom or harness, whatever, to the side. I'm gonna put that right there. So we got that out of the way. You can see a bit more damage of the oil over here. Maybe you could with the light. I'm not sure if there's enough light to actually see it, but there's a lot of old leaking oil over there. Anyways, with that out of the way, we need to unclip the oxygen sensors over here, move those out of the way as well. So we just unclip those. Need to remove this vacuum line here, which is just pinch these sides right here and push it out. I have it unhooked. I'm going to pull it out after. I'm going to pull it out before I remove the entire thing. So next, we need to also make sure we remove these ground wires here. The bottom part is also a 10mm. We'll remove those. Then we need to remove the middle bolts right there, which I believe there's 4 of these. They come with, there's the bolt, the washer, and the grommet as well. If in the new kits, when you get them, make sure it has these. If not, try and to purchase them online or something. I don't know. So do that, remove those, and then we remove these ignition coils as well. Make sure you remove them and set them in order so when you do put this all back together, you don't mix them up. So that's what I'm gonna do. Once we have that done, I'll get back to you guys, because then the last remaining thing is to unbolt the valve cover. Now remember, the majority of these are the OEM ones, the original ones that were on the engine, so the plastic is going to be very weak. It could crack, so you have to be very careful when you do these, because if it does crack, then that's another whole ordeal of trying to find another valve cover or purchasing a new one, which will add on time to this repair. So I'm going to go get everything removed and I'll get back to you guys once we've unbolted everything and we've removed all the bolts for the valve cover and we're about to replace the gasket. Okay. Alright, sweetie, so now here's an update. I've basically unbolted everything. Before you remove the valve cover, make sure everything's unhooked. Make sure no wires are getting in the way, no bolts are still in there. and from what I can tell, and slowly pry on it. I basically have the majority of this off right now, but start from this front or the side and slowly pry on it, and once you see the gasket give, just go in that direction, and then same thing on the other side until you're able to like lift it up. Now I'm gonna pick it up. I can't do it with just one hand, so I'm gonna put the camera on a tripod and then remove it. Let's see what the damage is within. The gasket on this side seemed fine. It's just on the other end where it seemed like it was worn and started to leak. Well, you can see that with all of the oil that was in cylinder 5 and 6. And make sure you have everything organized in one spot. These are bolts for the ignition coils, the ground wires and their bolts, ignition coils. This is cylinder 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys saw me put these in the other week. It's only been about a week, and then the stuff is still building up on it. Before we put these in, we're going to clean them up. These are the bolts for the valve cover, and these are the ones that go in the middle, in between the ignition coils. This was a clip. I don't know where it's from. I think it broke off when I was removing the ignition coils and the wiring loom for it. So I'm gonna put the I'm gonna put the camera on a tripod and then remove the valve cover. All right, let's get to it. It's also a good idea when you're doing this to wear nitrile gloves, but I don't have any on me, so I'm just using my bare hands. Alright, so when removing it, the rear gasket for the ignition coils got stuck on one of the bolts. So I just pulled that off and just kept it in there. I'm going to remove it now. But you can see this is where most of the damage was cylinder 5 and 6, where there was, I don't know, it seems fine. It doesn't seem like a head gasket. It seems like it was just the leak and condensation, but it does smell. It does really smell. Now I want to hurry up and do this before things dry up in here. It shouldn't be that hard. Just slowly remove the old gasket. I'm gonna clean up a bit on the inside here too before I put this back on. So clean that up, put on the new gasket, then put it back on, and it's just the reassembly. The wires at the back did get caught, so when putting this back on, I need to be careful of those. But everything seems fine, so let's get on with it. Here's an update. I've removed the old gasket. I've put on the new one. I've put it on all the way around. Now, this would be the point where if you had some RTV or something, or some of that gasket sealer type stuff, if you had that, you would put it on here as well to just make sure there's a better seal. Usually, the M54 engine, the valve cover gaskets, when they leak, it's usually around these curves and these grooves over here, and especially on the back. For me, it was happening on the back, so I should, if I had some, put some right on the back there, but I don't have any on me, and I don't really want to go to the store right now, so I'm just going to keep it as is. It should be fine. And also I took a microfiber and cleaned up around the surface area where it's going to be, just to make sure there's a nice clean seal. And hopefully this should fix it. This was the last thing to do with the engines for now, to make sure that the car can go on the road. So now I'm just going to carefully put this back on and then reassemble everything. Okay, so I put the valve cover back on. The gasket thankfully did stay on while I was doing this. So now we just have to rebolt everything and reassemble everything. But before we do that, in your kit for your valve cover gasket, you should get about 15 of these grommet or gaskets. These go on the valve cover gasket bolts and on the middle bolts right there. So they're all the same size, so it should be all right to just use whichever ones you want. So remove the old ones and put these on if you can. It'll help out the longevity of the gasket and of the valve cover. So do that and then put everything back together. Now I'm not going to record all that. I'll just show you guys the finished product or midway through if stuff happens. All right, we've pretty much bolted everything back together. Make sure they're tight. When you're putting them on, don't tighten them up all at once. Do it in a star pattern. Make sure there's even pressure everywhere on the valve cover, and just hand tighten them. It should be about, yeah, just basically the hand tighten them. Afterwards, put in the ignition coils back in. Make sure to put them in the proper way. If you had organized them already, like I had mine set out, so I knew which one was for cylinder 1, which was for cylinder 6. Make sure that the ground wires are attached properly again. Reattach the wire loom for the ignition coil. Reattach this vacuum hose right here as well, and the oxygen sensors as well. Make sure they're back inside those little spots for them. So after this, you pretty much have the valve cover all reinstalled. The last thing to do would be to install the cabin air filter, its covers and the engine covers, and start it up and make sure that it runs fine. Alright guys, and there you have it. We have installed the valve cover gasket on the E46, and it is starting to run, much healthier than it did before. Hopefully this is the last thing I need to do for a while to the engine of the car, well, to the engine bay of the car, because so far we've done the cooling system, we've done the valve cover, and that should be fine for now. For the engine bay, the next thing for the engine bay would be a EGR delete, or just to delete the secondary air pump. But besides that, the next thing on the list for the E46 is to work on the suspension. So we'll do that in another video. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do consider hitting the like button down below and to subscribe. We are so close to getting to the 500 sub milestone. And hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.